Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're looking at something really fascinating. It's a new concept for completely transforming how we deal with waste. And I'm not just talking about, slightly better recycling. We're talking about a total reinvention of what we even consider garbage.
All right, so let's just jump right in. What if we could actually mine our landfills for clean energy and for gold? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? But this new concept proposes we do just that by completely rethinking the whole problem of trash. It's this idea of looking at a mountain of waste and not seeing a problem, but seeing a gold mine, basically.
Okay, so first things first. To really get why this new idea is so cool, we've got to understand the problem we're dealing with right now and why it's such a huge missed opportunity. Forever, we've basically had two choices for our trash. We either bury it in a landfill or we burn it in an incinerator. And both of those are, let's be honest, pretty terrible options. You're wasting all this valuable carbon and energy, you're pumping pollutants into the air, and you end up with this nasty contaminated ash you still have to deal with.
And look, this isn't some tiny niche problem. More than 60% of all the trash from our cities around the world ends up either buried or burned. That is a staggering amount of valuable material just being thrown away, lost forever, and in a lot of cases, actively harming the planet.
So, what if there's a third way? A better way? This is where this really innovative concept, the Pyro Bio Loop, comes in. It's designed to literally bolt onto the systems we already have and just completely change the game. The best way to think about it is like a super smart recycling refinery. It intercepts the waste, and instead of just burning it, it systematically takes it apart and pulls out all the hidden value before it can become a problem. Okay, so how does this thing actually work? How do you really turn, last night's pizza box into clean fuel and gold? Let's dig into the process. It's actually a pretty elegant three-step process. So, step one, you cook the trash. You heat it up really hot, but, and this is key, with very little oxygen. So it doesn't just burn, it breaks down into a useful gas called syngas and some solid ash. Step two, that hot gas gets cleaned. It passes through this brand new kind of magnetic filter, which is just a brilliant way to grab all the nasty stuff, like heavy metals, right at the beginning. And then finally, step three, the now clean gas, including the CO2, which is important, gets fed to these special microbes that basically, they eat it, and they turn it into renewable natural gas. But here's what makes this whole thing really, really smart. It's not just a dumb machine. It uses AI to actually adapt in real time to whatever kind of trash you throw at it. Because, garbage is never the same 2 days in a row. It's also totally self-sufficient. It uses some of the gas it makes to power itself. How cool is that? And maybe most importantly, it takes the CO2 from the waste, a greenhouse gas, and uses it as a raw material to make more fuel. All right, so we've seen how it works. Now for the really fun part, the payoff. What do you actually get out of this thing? Because it's way more than just the basic electricity you get from a normal incinerator. This is where they introduce this idea of a value stack. It's the perfect way to describe it. It's based on that circular economy idea where absolutely nothing goes to waste. Every single part of the original trash gets turned into something useful. Okay, first up, electricity. A pretty small 5-ton-a-day module can generate around 4.5 megawatt hours of net electricity. And that's net, meaning it's already powered itself and it still has extra to send back to the local grid. And it's not just electricity, you're also getting a ton of renewable natural gas. We're talking about 2 tons a day from that same little module. To put that in perspective, that's enough clean fuel to heat something like 300 apartments. And you can pump it right into the existing city gas lines. And now, for the headline act, the part that sounds like science fiction. Believe it or not, this system is designed to literally pull out tiny bits of precious metals from the leftover ash. Yeah, I'm talking about gold, platinum, rare earth elements. Now, the daily amount looks small, but when you scale this up to a decent-sized facility, that adds up to, it could be up to $1 million a year. You're literally mining the landfill. But wait, there's more. The value stack keeps on giving. That leftover ash, it's treated so it's safe, and it becomes this nutrient-rich soil you can actually use in gardens or for agriculture. And get this, the smokestack itself is designed with this special feature that passively sucks in and cleans the air around the facility. How wild is that?
Okay, I know what you're thinking. This sounds amazing, almost too amazing. So what are the risks? What could go wrong? Does this stuff actually work in the real world? Well, here's the thing. The designers thought about all of that. They anticipated the big problems and engineered solutions right into the system. So, for example, are you worried about toxic dioxins? They use a rapid quench system that cools the gas down so fast, we're talking less than 2 seconds, that those toxins just don't have time to form. Worried about different trash types? The AI controller adapts on the fly. Heavy metals in the ash? Nope, they were captured way back in step 2 by that special filter. It's smart design.
And look, this isn't just some fantasy sketched on a napkin. There's a real practical plan to bring this thing to life. The roadmap to get there is laid out in these really clear, logical stages. You start with about 6 months of lab work just to prove the basic ideas, prove the filter works. Then, within a year, you build a small-scale integrated demo, and then, the big one, within just 2 years, the goal is to have a full-on field pilot up and running, actually processing 5 tons of trash a day and proving this whole concept works. So, what does all this mean? It means the Pyro Bio Loop concept is this powerful challenge to how we've always thought about trash. It's asking us to stop seeing waste as this end-of-the-line problem that we have to bury and forget. Instead, it could be the beginning, the start of a clean, valuable, and sustainable loop, a true case of turning our biggest liability into our most valuable asset.